flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Reckless speculation.
Trade talk.
Juicy rumors.
That is right. Thursday, which means it is only one thing here at the Good SKOR North, and that is Reckless Speculation Thursday. Mackie is out, so it's Judd, it's Declan, and the king of mixing together reckless speculation with facts and giving us the scoop. Darren Doogie Wolfson, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, and of course the Scoop podcast. Bonus scoops on Tuesday with us, and also Reckless Speculation Thursday. Darren, good morning, and I think we have plenty of reckless speculation to get to today.
Oh, there's always plenty to get to, Judd. Good morning. Thank you for that riveting introduction.
It was riveting.
Happy Reckless Speculation Thursday. You are correct, Judd. I weave in between stuff that I'm led to believe that, in fact, is true, with maybe not always pushing it forward because maybe I'm not in a position to fully push it forward. But if you go back to our conversation on Tuesday, dropped a hint about Matt Canarino. You saw the news. I was able to put that out on Twitter on Wednesday morning. But Matt Canarino needing Tommy John surgery August 22nd. Dr. Keith Meister, the man when it comes to Tommy John surgeries. Chris Paddock, Kenta Maeda. He's done many. But that's the key here. You have to sort of sift through, right? Louis Varland. I hinted at Louis Varland on Tuesday. That wasn't random. Now, I wasn't quite sure it would happen that fast. The call up later in the day.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, Louis Varland will make his Saints debut tomorrow. CHS Field, the pride of North St. Paul, Concordia University, St. Paul. So, yes, if you listen intently. Now, sometimes I'll be all over the map, right, Judd? Like,
That's
sometimes
okay
I'll
too,
suggest something, and maybe it doesn't come to fruition. But I promise you, whatever I throw out isn't just randomly thrown out. Or if it is, I make it very clear I'm opining.
Yep.
I'm not informing. So go ahead.
There you go.
Let's chat away for the next 20, 30 minutes.
All right, let's start here. Vikings. So the next 3 Tuesdays will be intriguing. We go from 90 to 85 players next Tuesday. The Tuesday after that, if I'm not mistaken, we go from 85 to 80. And then the following Tuesday, I think it's the last Tuesday of August, all hell breaks loose when we go from 80 to 53. The Vikings don't have a lot of jobs open. There aren't a ton of competition, but let's start in a place that has been the focal point of training camp. And Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell are smart dudes. So they're not watching this and being like, oh, we're really fine. There certainly has to be some thought, long and hard, being given to the state of this position. I'm talking about center, Garrett Bradbury. What can you tell us about where things might be going internally as the Vikings come to the realization that Garrett Bradbury, I think, wants to be good, but unfortunately in pass protection, he remains what I would consider a liability.
He definitely wants to be good. He wants to live up to his first-round stature. I've never once questioned the man's work ethic. I like him as a person. I featured him in a story last year, his relationship with Bailey Ober of the Twins, how Garrett was Bailey's catcher in high school. So they have this long-standing relationship. Pretty cool that now both of those professional athletes are here in Minnesota, although Bailey Ober rehabbing in Fort Myers, but should be back at some point this year. So I've never questioned the work ethic, but to me, pretty. And Kevin O'Connell goes on the record the other day, Judd, suggesting that there's still some issues when it comes to pass protection. I can promise you, Kevin softened his stance to us reporters, to fans, right? I think internally they are absolutely looking at alternatives, although I don't sense there's any free agency steam. Like, there just isn't, unless I'm being misinformed, Judd. I just haven't heard J.C. Tretter's steam. Yeah. And I get it, there's some other free agent centers out there, but if you're going to sign somebody, and the Vikings have 8 figures in salary cap space, if they want to spend money on a free agent right now, they have the room to do so. There just isn't J.C. Tretter's steam. But as you touch on, the roster crunch that is about to occur over these next few Tuesdays, there are centers that are in other teams' camps. Trade dialogue is active right now. It'll pick up in the next 7 to 10 to 14 days. But heck, we saw a tight end traded the other day, right? Miami and Houston came to a trade agreement. There are trades happening right now in the league. My sense, Judd, is the Vikings are at least exploring the possibility of trading for a center. Somebody that's on a roster right now, I would look more at AFC teams compared to NFC teams.
Doogie, I would even say, too, to drive up the market for even the Vikings center. So I was looking at the Bucs yesterday, and did they lose their second straight center after they lost, I forget who the rookie
Jensen.
last year, Ryan Jensen, who was a stud for them. Is there even a case to be made that, all right, now the Bucs are desperate, right? By God, they've lost their starting center. They just lost potentially their backup center. Is there an idea that the Bucs come calling, looking for other teams that's saying, hey, we're kind of in a similar boat here. We have this great offense, but now we've lost 2 straight centers. Is there maybe a possibility that the Buccaneers and Vikings become trade partners if they were to punt on Bradbury and the Vikings were able to get a new center?
I would be surprised if Tampa said, with all the options out there, hey, Minnesota, here's even a 6th or 7th round pick. Give us Garrett Bradbury. Like, Declan, I can see the Vikings bringing in a center, but I don't necessarily see Garrett Bradbury going out the door, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see where Tampa would be like, okay, we see Cam Jordan twice a year. Look at our schedule. Let's bring in Garrett Bradbury. I mean, that's the concern when you look at week 1, Kenny Clark Packers, week 2, Jordan Davis Eagles. Although I read the other day, Jordan Davis technically second team, although I saw some video of him pushing back, just in an embarrassing way, frankly, a center from, I believe it was the Baltimore Ravens. I think it was a joint practice, Eagles and Ravens. Doesn't matter who the opponent was, just Jordan Davis just demolishing an interior offensive lineman. So I imagine come September 19th in Philadelphia, Monday Night Football, Jordan Davis is going to get some snaps. So you look at those first 2 weeks, Garrett Bradbury in pass protection against those guys, like best of luck. Right? So
Yes.
if you're going to find a way to solve the problem, you're better off doing it sooner rather than later. Not that you couldn't do it September 1st, August 31st. That's entirely possible. But that's what I'm saying. And I get it takes 2 to tango always. And some teams might still be formulating opinions about their backups or whether a guy, is he the first team or is he a backup? Is he a second team? So, the Vikings may be inclined to say, okay, we're willing to part with a late round draft pick right now, but the other team might be still figuring things out themselves. What I'm getting at, though, is I fully believe, like, Kwesi wouldn't be doing his job. Literally, his job right now is to find a way to assemble the best 53-man roster. Well, guess what? The pathway to that, is, hey, there are some guys that either will be cut or that you can trade for on other rosters that are better than what you currently have. But I'm just telling you, I would be pretty surprised if another team said, hey, we'll happily take Garrett Bradbury. We want him as our starting center.
Sure. And I think, too, as far as the interior of the line goes, Dukes, it's an interesting discussion because we saw in practice yesterday, Jesse Davis has had like 3 days off because I think he tore up his knee with Dolphins last year. And the last time that he had a day off, Ed Ingram stepped in. Well, in yesterday's full padded practice, Ingram and Davis rotated with the ones. So there's no question, and this is a good thing, that there remains competition and concern, I think, at both right guard and center. And so, yeah, I would not be surprised. The only thing, to your point about a potential trade of Brett or a potential trade to replace Bradbury is this. As far as the offense goes and as far as Kirk goes, you want to get the starting quarterback working with the new center as quickly as possible, right? So like that's the one thing that I would guess that you wouldn't want to wait till September 1st if you have a choice and can pull the trigger on a trade. And I guess the question then becomes, Are you trying to trade for a guy who's currently a backup who you think can start for a late round draft pick, or would you actually trade from depth a player and if Team B needs, I don't know, a defensive player where you've got some depth to try and expedite a trade, would you actually trade a player with value to try to get a potential starting center back right now?
Well, that would be interesting. Like, I think about a guy like Patrick Jones, who's had his down moments, but for the most part has had a productive camp. Okay. Would you then think about trading DJ Wanham? Right? Now, you wonder about Zadarius Smith, whether the back can hold up. So I don't know if you want to trade DJ Wanham. You may absolutely need Wanham and Jones come October, November, so on. But sure, like I think that possibility is out there. I think more likely would be a draft pick, but I wouldn't necessarily rule out a player-for-player swap. I would look at teams that drafted an interior offensive lineman either first round, second round, third round, maybe fourth round.
Sure.
That maybe that rookie is performing well in camp, and some veteran is now second team or has been shifted to guard, but has starting center experience. So somebody that has started games, but isn't necessarily the number one center in that team's camp right now. But sure, I mean, the idea of a player-for-player swap, I wouldn't rule that out, right? I mean, Kwesi isn't married to many of these guys. Now, on Ed Ingram, they drafted Ed Ingram as high as they did, Judd, for a reason. He is going to start one day. The question is when. Like, I'm not quite sure it'll be September 11th. Like, if I had to bet right now, I think Jesse Davis is probably the starting right guard. Although I do want to see more of Chris Reed, but at this point, it's probably Davis. But there's a competition there. But, like, I would be surprised if that opening game against the Green Bay Packers at US Bank Stadium, if rookie Ed Ingram is the starting guard. But to me, it's when, not if. He is going to start eventually.
Dubes, what do you think about this 2021 third-round draft class? Wyatt Davis just absolutely buried with the third team, and Kellen Mond, who's vying to try to be the QB2, but after the first unofficial official depth chart is co-QB2. It's kind of weird because I feel like that draft class, they had a home run with Jefferson, right, in the first round. I mean, you couldn't imagine a better first-round pick, especially with the value you got him in. But then that third round, 4 guys, including Patrick Jones and Chaz Surratt, Kellen Mond, Wyatt Davis, and it feels like 2 of those guys could potentially be on the chopping block when they get on when the 53-man roster does come out here in about 3-4 weeks.
Well, I mean, right now, Wyatt Davis isn't making the 53-man. Chaz Surratt isn't making the 53-man. Patrick Jones is making the 53-man. Yeah. Kellen Mond, up and down, but like he certainly hasn't distinguished himself. Judd, you've been out there actually more than I have. I'll be out there again later today. I've been out there plenty. We were bonding on
again
Monday night. So we'll bond again later today. But like tight. Kellen he hasn't stood out.
He's not.
I think he's made some throws. I thought the wide receiver Jackson could have helped him a little bit down the right sideline in the practice Monday night at TCO Stadium. Although the defensive back, I think it was Chris Boyd, got his hand in late. But I thought it was a pretty nice deep ball down the right sideline from Mond. But he's had plenty of down moments, right? So like at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Sean Mannion ends up as the number 2 quarterback. But that'll sort itself out more than almost any other battle, really, in these 3 preseason games, because they have not officially announced anything. But based on how Sean McVay does things in the preseason, like I don't expect to see many of the regulars on Sunday. So that means Mond and Mannion are going to see a lot of action come Sunday, and then those other 2 preseason games. So we'll have a better sense after that 3rd preseason game, but like, Mond hasn't done much. He just hasn't. So,
no.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Thankfully Jones has a pulse. But, yeah, you have all those third-round picks, and you're like, uh-oh, what the heck's going on?
Mond's ability, and I get that it's a new scheme, but his ability to process is not there yet, and it's not close. And it's like watch Kirk play right now. He's still a tick slow at times. But you could tell he fundamentally gets it. Mond doesn't, and Mannion, in my opinion, just can't play. Like he knows what he's supposed to do. He just can't effectively do it. And that's where, on reckless speculation, Thursday, Dukes, I want to turn the conversation to backup QB. And here's why.
Speculation.
I know Cousins doesn't get hurt, okay? But that's
He doesn't. By the way, we take that for granted.
Yes.
That man is Mr. Iron Man. Like, he doesn't miss games.
It's incredible. And what I was going to say is I think that we should not take that for granted because I think when you truly do, it becomes bad luck. So that being said, it's my opinion with the roster that this team has and the expectations, which right or not are high. Like, they didn't bring guys back to lose games. I think right now, unless we see something from Mond, because Sean's not going to change. Unless we see something from Mond in the exhibition games that completely changes our minds, I think, and this is pure reckless speculation, you need to go explore the backup QB market, not for a great QB, but a QB where if there is a game, and it can be one game, like we always say, well, you can get by with Mannion in one game. Well, guess what? The Green Bay game was one game. It was a key game, and you never had a chance because of the guy that you started at QB. So it's my opinion the Vikings need to go get and explore the options for what I would call serviceable, competent backup quarterback because this team clearly has no intention of trying to lose games. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah. Who's a name? Gardner Minshew comes to mind.
We talked about him.
In Philadelphia because they did end up with the rookie from Nevada, Strong. I'm looking at their depth chart. Okay, Jalen Hurts clear-cut 1. Would they get off Minshew? Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I think there's something to be said about what you just laid out, Judd. Although Cousins just doesn't get hurt, but
still, Dukes.
I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah, no, I wouldn't rule it out. I haven't necessarily heard any steam on that. You know, a little bit more maybe on the center position, but yeah, I'm not sitting here and saying to you, what an asinine take. What the heck are you talking about? Like, what you just laid out makes logical sense. I haven't heard that myself. I'm just trying to come up with some names. Like, Minshew was the first one that came to mind, so I hopped on my phone just to look at the Eagles depth chart. Any other names come to mind?
The one that I'm curious on, Dukes, is just how it shakes out in Seattle. So right now it's Drew Locke versus Gino Smith, and I mean Seattle's gonna be bad next year. It doesn't matter who starts basically for them. But if one of those guys, whoever loses that job, and who is the loser of that competition, potentially going on the market too. Like, does Geno Smith and Drew Locke do a lot for me? Not necessarily. And again, the disclaimer is Kirk is an Iron Man. Kirk is the quarterback one. We are not advocating for someone to succeed Kirk Cousins in those options necessarily. But if Kirk misses a game, if he does eventually lose a game, or if something happens, do I feel a lot better about a Drew Locke or a Geno Smith or a Gardner Minshew having to start a spot start for me than Sean Mannion or Kellen Mond at this point? I do.
Yes. I think all of us would agree on that. Like, who would put up a fight for Mond or Mannion in that scenario? Judd, I'm trying to rattle my brain. Before Drew Locke got moved to Seattle, now that was the Rush trade, but did the Vikings inquire? At some point, I feel like the Vikings had some interest in Drew Locke.
I think last draft it was reported on.
In fact, I should just text Spielman.
I think
he's Mr. Media now.
Oh, yeah.
He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram.
I think in 2021, going into the draft, there was I don't think it was a Shefty report, but there was some insider that says the Vikings had checked in on the availability of Drew Locke.
Yeah, I'm almost positive they have. I won't text Rick right this second, but that'll be something when we have questions like this. Just kind of put it in our back pocket. Yeah. He's Mr. 33rd team and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I mean, Rick is omnipresent. CBS Sports, College Network.
He's all over the place.
Is he doing some Big Ten Network too? Did I hear that right? He's going to do some BTN work. Seriously, he's all over the place. Moved to Southwestern Florida, and he's living the good life.
So here's a name of a guy who I believe right now is sitting on his couch, and you're going to laugh at first, but again, he has starting experience, and if he had to play, he is an improvement on what the Vikings currently have, Blake Bortles.
Oh, I'm not laughing.
You could sign him off his couch, and
you could throw 50 names my way, and I'd be like, yeah, give me that guy over Mannion, give me that guy over Mond. Yes. If something happens... Let's say it's September 25th, Vikings-Lions, U.S. Bank Stadium. Something happens to Cousins in the Monday night game against the Eagles.
Yep.
Short week or shorter week, and you need somebody for a 1 week start. Yes, I'd much rather have Blake Bortles than those guys. So sure, no, I'm not.
All right.
I'm not laughing at that suggestion. I'm looking at some other available names.
I love this reckless speculation right now.
Yeah,
Quarterback.
well, this is reckless speculation.
Quarterback.
Let's see if I can
reckless speculation.
multitask.
So special.
Do you have a list? Is Cam Newton available? Is that what-
He is. He's currently out there. I'm not signing Cam Newton. That's a
No, I'm
lightning
not
rod
signing Cam
guy.
Newton
Like, there'd
either.
be way too much attention for a guy that I wouldn't play.
Mike Glennon, he's not on a team right now?
I don't think he is. Great neck. One of the longest
He does have a
necks
great
I've
neck.
ever seen. Merton Hanks like. Just a big neck.
Kyle Sloter.
Kyle Sloter
was
got let go
In
by
a camp
the
and then
Jaguars.
just got let go. Yeah,
And I got
just
tweets saying,
got
should we
released.
sign him? And I'm like, no, you've been down that path. You've seen dad has called you enough. TCO has been had enough of, hey, it's Kyle's dad. Why is he not playing? Hey, it's Kirk's dad. Treat him better. Enough with the parents. Twin scoopage. Byron Buxton. What's the update there as he continues to clearly battle a knee problem that I'm guessing at some point in time is going to need to be surgically repaired, but they're hoping it won't be in the next month or so, or 2 months.
That is accurate. When you look at the schedule for the next week, the Twins are about to see a bunch of left-handed starters. So you certainly want, regardless, you want Buxton in the lineup, but certainly against all these lefties they are about to see in the next week. So he jammed the knee jumping for a ball in San Diego a couple weekends ago. I forget who hit the ball. It doesn't matter who it was. Ball goes over the fence. He leaps up thinking there might be a chance to rob the home run. So he jumped, landed on the knee, felt discomfort. But even at that moment, Judd, the knee wasn't even close to 100%. Heck, not even close to 85 or 90%. Right? So when we're trying to quantify all this, the knee on that Friday, late July night in San Diego was 70%, 60%, whatever it was, certainly not anywhere near 80, 90, or 100. So there already was discomfort. But then, he jarred something. Something happened where he's like, I feel a little bit more pain than normal after that. So that's why we really haven't seen him in center field a whole lot the last week plus. They still don't believe that putting him on the 10-day injured list, 10 for position players, right? 15 for pitchers. But the 10-day injured list for position players, that having him sit 10 days, they just don't feel like, now maybe this changes, right? But right now they don't feel like 10 days, him just sitting out 10 days, then back on that 11th day is really going to help all that much. Now you give him last night off, today's built-in day off, so he has these 2 straight days off, doesn't need to hop on an airplane. They just stay there in Southern California. The hope is he'll be good to go Friday night in Anaheim. In fact, good enough to be able to play center field again. But just know this. The man has been dealing with pain for a while. PRP injection, cortisone shots, the knee drained. The knee will be drained again in the coming weeks. He is doing everything in his power to play. He really is. Now, it was unfortunate last night in Los Angeles, right? Celestino sort of misplays a ball. It was a tough play, but, does Buck make that play in center field on Wednesday night? Maybe he does, possibly. I still want the bat in the lineup. Like, more than anything, give me the bat in the lineup. Yes, I realize I'm sacrificing defense, but more than anything, I need that bat for 4 at-bats a game. And if that's the best case scenario until a surgery in the winter before we head into the 2023 season, so be it. That's where I'm at, Judd. I don't know where you're at, but that's where I stand. I'm okay if he's just a DH for a majority of the rest of the year.
Dukes, I don't know if your opinion has changed this a little bit over the matter, but Carlos Correa, we talked about this with Mackie and Judd and myself earlier this week on the possibility of his Twins career continuing. Obviously going through a little bit of a slump right now, just 8 hits in his last 12 games. He's definitely fighting it a little bit. But is there any benefit for him to actually opt in for one more year and then opt out this time next year when the free agent shortstop crop, by the way, is just going to be him and potentially Tim Anderson? I mean, if he opts out this year, which he certainly should and can, he's going to have to fight an insane shortstop market with Dansby Swanson's out there. I believe Trey Turner is going to be out there. Xander Bogaerts is potentially out there. So there's going to be a lot of people that are looking for shortstops. Has your opinion changed on the idea of Carlos Correa actually opting in and staying put with the Twins in 2023?
It hasn't really necessarily changed, Declan. It's something I've thought about. By the way, I love Trey Turner. As much as I love Carlos Correa,
great player.
Just reminded the last 2 nights how much fun he is. Just his ability to steal bases. I miss the art of the stolen base.
So do I.
Watching a Twin steal a base. That was fun. The last 2 nights, watching Trey Turner, the other Dodgers, run the bases, Gavin Lux, some other guys. I enjoy watching a stolen base. We just don't see it here in Minnesota really anymore. Although we actually saw it a couple times in the Blue Jays, the recent Blue Jays series. But I love Trey Turner. But I've thought about it, Declan, right? Because he could still opt into free agency at the age of 29. So he could take the $35.1 million for 2023, then elect unrestricted free agency November of 2023, and he turns 29, I believe it's late November or sometime in December of 2023. Turns 28 later this calendar year, November or December. So, like, is 28 compared to 29 that much of a difference? Now, that Cubs team has been out there for a while. That the Cubs, now, you mentioned all the names. They're great. And I'm telling you, I love Trey Turner. I love Bogaerts, too. For that matter, but that there are fans of Correa in the Cubs front office as high up as ownership. So if he does opt out, I'll be following that trail. That is it almost a darn near inevitability that Correa ends up a Chicago Cub. Because if he does opt out, like we've thought for a while, right, there must be some sort of deal lined up. It's not going to happen in the first 24 or 48 hours of free agency, but his representation would have a strong sense that there's a really nice deal out there, whatever it is, 5, 6, 7, 8 years for a ton of money, right? And if he opts in, clearly there was a lot of work done behind the scenes where they realize, okay, that deal wasn't out there. We'll take our chances winter of 2023. But it is something I've thought about, Declan. I can tell you there are Twins folks cheering on that possibility. They're okay with a little mini slump right now. They're okay. Now, maybe they won't be okay in mid-September in a key game against Cleveland if the Guardians end up winning and securing a nice division lead. But there might be some people deep down okay with Correa not having any clutch moments this year, right? That they're okay. If he's back next year at $35.1 million. The Twins would love to have him back. I mean, you know, we've known that. That's not recklessly speculating. The Twins would love to have Correa back. They would love for him to opt in to his 2023 contract, not extend him, nothing like that. Just have him back next year at $35.1 million. The Twins would happily accept that. So it's something I've thought about. I did think when they signed him, we'd have more wow moments by now. The wow moments haven't been there.
Yeah.
He's been more than fine defensively, but he hasn't been platinum gold glove defensively.
Nobody's been good.
And the clutch moments just haven't been there. Like, do you remember a big Carlos Correa hit, 8th inning, 9th inning?
No.
Like, they're just not out there. I don't know what his batting average is with runners in scoring position right this second, but
it's not good.
He just, and whatever his numbers are, however you want to define clutch situations, but like I'd be shocked if the numbers were good in clutch situations. He just hasn't had clutch moments, but he's still a darn good player. You know, and I don't know how to quantify the impact he's had in that clubhouse, but you talk to enough people, it's been a positive one. Like, those guys really enjoy having Correa as a teammate, as a leader. I think he's been good for Buxton. I think he's been good for Arise. He's been good for a lot of people, right? So there's something to be said about that. So I'm just telling you, the Twins would love for him to be back next year at $35.1 million. But I've thought all along, you know, going back to March, that he would opt out. And so I don't necessarily want to move off that stance. But I'm telling you, maybe more so than in May, June, even early July, I have just thought about that possibility of him saying, you know what, I'll take my chances in the 23 free agent class. This 22 free agent class is too stacked.
Final scoop, sir.
Dawson Garcia, Gophers men's basketball. Finally, the Gophers are going to submit the paperwork to the NCAA, the waiver, to hopefully have Dawson Garcia have immediate eligibility. So as a 2-time transfer, he actually has to go through the waiver process until this changes at some point in the near future. But right now, as a 2-time transfer, you need to submit paperwork. You need to lay out your case to the NCAA. They then will make a determination. Now, based on some recent cases, I very, 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 very much like Dawson Garcia's chances to be eligible this upcoming season. He's got one heck of a case, but still, finally, the Gophers will submit the paperwork. They've waited for a while, wanted to build up the case, make sure they have everything laid out, but I was told before this week is over, that case will be submitted. The NBA schedule will be out soon. By the time we talk in 2 weeks, so today is August 11th, so by the time we talk on August 25th, we absolutely should have the schedule. I know the Wolves, behind the scenes, certainly open-minded to playing on Christmas, like a lot of teams, right? So I don't know if they will or not. I do know they will be on national TV a lot more than they were last year, because I believe last year the number was 1.
Yeah, I think it's so.
Yeah,
was it even 2? I think it was 1.
I think it started at 1.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might have gone to 2, but
I think it went
the Wolves
up,
are going to be on national TV much more next season compared to last season. I am catching up with the owner of the Wolves and Lynx, Glenn Taylor, in about 20 minutes. Certainly talk some Sylvia Fowles, memories of Sylvia with her last game at Target Center Friday night. Now, if the Lynx make the playoffs, go on an unreal run, I suppose there could be another game at Target Center, but as of right now, last game for Sylvia Fowles at Target Center. So I wanted to catch up with Glenn on some Lynx stuff, but I certainly will hit him on a number of Wolves talking points.
Outstanding stuff, sir, and we'll talk to you for a bonus scoop session on Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good. Take it easy,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
dude.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Reckless speculation.
Love the reckless speculation,
Gotta
Declan
love it.
Goff. Absolutely love it.